What's up, second cousins? It's your boy Kyle here. Happy to be joined by that man, Skinny, to discuss a little bit of where the Magic are now and a little trade deadline hypothetical. Where do we go? So, Skinny, I'm going to jump right into it, and then I'm going to ask for your take, sir. Well, the Magic are currently sitting at 22-19, but we're trending in the wrong direction, right? 3-7 in our last 10. We have had a 9-game win streak earlier in the year, so we know that this team can get hot. Right now, we're currently 8th in the East, 3 games back from 4th place, though, so it's tight. But on the other side, 4.5 games ahead of 10th, so only 5 games out of play-in contention. You know, the big, I gotta mention it. I'm sorry, everybody, but we got more injuries than a senior citizen pickleball team right now. All right, we're the 9th most injured team, Skinny. It's not as bad as it has been with 115 games. I looked this up. I was just curious. Last year we were the 3rd most injured team. We lost 299 games. The year before we were number 1, baby. 411 games missed, and this is interesting. That's $47 million sitting on the sideline for 1 year with those games missed.
Wow. Who was like the second closest in those years? Was anybody even close to us?
I don't have that in front of me. I can look it up in a second, but I think this year is the Grizzlies because of Ja, and the Warriors are high as well this year. So we're doing better. Hey, 9th, that's improvement, right? 1st to 3rd to 9th most injured team, but it still feels like a lot to me, Skinny. I'd had some venting on a recap I did solo a little while ago, and then again with Peach on episode 59. Go check it out. But this seems like a predictable problem that we're having. You know, we've got some guys who get injured. I'm just looking at our players who've been injured. Markelle has missed 31 games. That's my man right there. Last year I had to go down. That was the jersey I was going to get. You know, that's my dude. I thought point guard for good, period. Put it in stone. He's been nicked up, was last year too. Wendell Carter Jr., 26 games. J.I., we all know that saga, 15 games. Gary Harris, 14. Joe Ingles, 13. Franz now with 7, which is a little worrisome for me, Skinny, because he's normally Iron Man. Like, he'll roll an ankle bad, and you're like, damn. And then the next day, he's just back on the court. So, you know, that's a little frustrating for me. I think as I've been trying to step back a little bit from the emotion, not let the heart think, let the brain think a little bit more, rationalize, I have to calm down, take a breath, because at the beginning of this year, I was thinking we're going to be a couple games above 500, and that would be a really good season. 42-40, 43-39, something like that. And we're on target for that. I guess it just feels a little disappointing because of that 9-game win streak and how well we've seen the team play early on when we were pretty much healthy, minus Markelle. Really haven't had him all year. But how are you feeling right now with the state of the Orlando Magic? What's your barometer at, sir?
Whoa, that was a beautiful way to. Yeah, you gave me a lot there, man. But you really hit it on the head. I mean, I think the point that I've reached with this team is watching them, Paolo and Franz. Obviously, when Franz is healthy, have shown me nothing else other than the fact that they can lead a team to a playoff contention. Yes. When they had just guys available, honestly, guys at their disposal to come into the lineup, they were holding that 4 seed. Obviously, when you have a lot of injuries, man, you have to dig really, really, really deep into that bench. Like guys that weren't even sniffing minutes last year are playing 30 minutes a game. Chuma Okeke. Yeah. And it's great to see guys like that step up. But I'm at the point where coming up to this deadline, man, I really feel like if the front office fails to make a move to get these guys in the position to guarantee that they can maximize what the season is, that's not a good deadline. That wouldn't be a good deadline for me. You know, trading away a guy for just picks, you know, second round picks or something. You need to bring in guys that are available to help Paolo and Franz. Paolo's played every single game this year, right? 41 out of 41.
Yes, I believe so. I'm not
I don't think
100%. He's not on this list. Yeah. So yes, he hasn't missed a game.
I mean, and the guys going out there closing down the fourth quarters, clutch shots when you need them, facing triple and double teams. Everybody's scouting for him, but he just doesn't have the adequate help. And we love guys here in Orlando. I think sometimes when you talk about certain players, you have to say, that you love them, that you root for them. But we're talking basketball, and guys have to be available. It's as simple as that, man. So,
yeah,
but
ain't nothing wrong with that. They're making good money. I mean, we don't need to worry about feelings all the time.
Exactly. Money helps a little bit.
They're good, man. They got a great life. I mean, they on the surface at least. We all have problems no matter how much money you got, but like, it's no shot at anyone individually. But damn, man, like you said, we just need bodies around Paolo. You're right. Like, silver lining, Paolo should be an all-star this year, and
Absolutely.
for me, I think he's cementing or maybe even cemented himself as the number one guy. I mean, Franz can shut me up when he comes back, but damn, we had fourth quarter Franz. Fourth quarter likes the boogie, but Paolo's something, man. Like, he definitely has another gear, and I don't think that's the worst thing to have somewhat of a pecking order, at least on a team. It's good to know who our guy is, and we can do Batman and Batman. That's fine. But that is the silver lining for me, that Paolo has dragged this team at times to victories and made the leap faster than I thought he could, already probably hopefully being an all-star this year, as he'll get like voted in by the coaches, I hope, or some of those injury spots. I don't know, but he should be on the floor there. But just like you said, just bodies. That's all I think Magic fans are asking for right now. The list I'm looking, the season injury list would be even worse, but they have Kevon Harris listed as 2 games. I don't know what's going on with that. He's listed always as did not play, coach's decision, but he's been injured. So it's even worse.
He's come back and played in the G League. I actually just got done watching that game.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out to the G League, Osceola Magic. They just scored a franchise record points. I think they put up 154. Jet Howard, our rook, 32 points.
Okay.
So coming into the season, you can find it on my Twitter. I had Paolo coming into this year being able to put up, like, the December Paolo that we saw was a Paolo I knew was possible. I think obviously he's gotten to the line noticeably less than he did last year. He was at like 8.5 free throw attempts. I think he's back up in the top 10, but he's at like 6.3 or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, if this guy can hit 2 threes a game and get to the free throw line at the rate that he does, he's easily a 25 point per game guy.
For sure.
I mean, and look at it now. And I think the reason why I say what I said about the front office, and if they sit on their hands this trade deadline, that's on them, because you're seeing he's showing you everything. He's showing you everything. I'm available. I can hoop. I want to hoop against the best of the best. Get him some help. Maximize what he can do this year. And the next year, that's when you take the big jump. I'm not on the – we'll talk about that later. But
yeah, there's definitely proof of concept, which I think is why this trade deadline and is bringing so much attention in the Magic community. We've seen what can happen. We have to get inside the head of the front office and understand what they're going to do. Skinny, looking at what they did in Milwaukee, it was a lot of what we've already seen. They tried to get the diamond in the rough, which they did. They got Chris Middleton as a distressed asset from, I believe, Detroit, which they've already tried to do here. They tried it with RJ Hampton. They tried it with Bol. Is there anyone else I'm missing? I'm not sure, but that hasn't really worked out. So now is kind of the next phase where fans are saying, okay, we tried to get a diamond in the rough, didn't really work out. We've got Paolo. He's playing well. This team could be ready if there were some guys available. Are they going to be patient? They were really patient in Milwaukee. They didn't really make big moves until Giannis was on his second contract. And, that there might not be anything wrong in this situation to do the same thing. Are they going to just hold over and wait till they at least have, because Franz and Jalen Suggs are up for extensions this summer. Maybe they're thinking, or should Magic fans be thinking about unrestricted free agency or restricted free agency instead? Right now on the 2024-25 season books, there are 11 players under contract for the Orlando Magic. Jonathan Isaac and Caleb Houston are non-guaranteed contracts. Joe Ingles is a team option. So there could be 8 players on the roster next year if you wanted that maximum salary flexibility. Cole Anthony, Paulo, Wendell, Jalen, Moritz, Anthony Black, Franz Wagner, and Jet Howard, who is in the G League, as you said. So there is an opportunity. The reason I bring that up is there is an opportunity to do big things in free agency if you want. And if you feel like the guy that you want is there, you can do it. The only thing is, though, Second Cousins, there's not a lot in the 2024 free agent class. I was just skimming through it before we got on, Skinny. The unrestricted or restricted free agents, Clay, James Harden. Like, Clay's had a horrible season. James Harden's not going anywhere. Kyle Lowry, fuck no, we don't want him. Hell no, we don't want Kyle Lowry. Mike Conley, I would love, but he's at the end of his career. He wants to be on a winner. Spencer Dinwiddie, maybe, I guess. D'Angelo Russell, no. No, thank you. So, those are guys at the top of the list. Tyus Jones is another one who comes up a lot in Magic circles. But I think that's why there's so much chatter for a trade, Charles, because if we just focus on, it seems like just focusing on internal development and, getting Franz and Jalen's extensions and keeping it moving, maybe that is the rational and calm and patient thing to do and let these guys grow into it. Maybe I'm being a little fan reactive, but looking at, some of the free agents, and like you said, we're ready to move. Paulo's ready to move. Don't we have to do something? And you look at what the Pacers did by getting Pascal Siakam. Mm-hmm. And sadly, I think sometimes that's what you have to do as a small market team. If they just gave up 3 first-round picks and he's unrestricted free agent, they have his bird rights now. If he leaves, that would be epic collapse, epic tragedy. They have to have some type of tampered agreement and tacit agreement, which would be considered tampering, I think, that he's going to come back, that he's very interested and he's going to come back. And that's kind of, it's a gamble for them, but I think it's a big move. They see a guy that can kind of perfect their team and work well with their team. And because they know they're a small market, they may not be able to compete with some of the shinier, glitzier, glamier. They get that guy in the door on a trade, impress him, get him into the culture, get him bought in, and then you're more likely to get that contract done. Do the Magic have to do something like that? It sounds like you're leaning towards you want to see them make a move. But how big of a move do you want to see, Skinny? Are you talking like rotational dude, or are you looking for the piece now? What kind of guys are you thinking?
Simply talking about an available or multiple available guys that play big rotational minutes.
Okay.
Key rotational minutes here. I'm looking for, obviously, I love what Markelle Fultz has done throughout his tenure here. But like you said, it seems like year after year, even as good as we started off, we're 22-19 now. There was a point where we were like 7 or 8 games above 500. Obviously, some of that was due to the win streak. But a lot of this believing in the second half, just, flame on and just catching fire, everyone's healthy. It's tough because the second half of the season, everyone's reloading. Everyone's getting better. Like, you look at Pascal, with that trade, he moved up 5 spots in the Eastern Conference. Now he's on the 7 seed team with one of the best young point guards in the league. And you talk about a little bit of tampering. I mean, he has already talked about how much he loved Miles Turner. He felt like that's the perfect stretch 5 to play next to him. So Indiana's gone out, and like I said, I don't think that's the type of move we need to make yet. I feel like they're on a little bit of a different timeline. Hallie's already been an all-star. He's he's pretty much an all-NBA guy already.
He got his second contract, so he's like 2 years ahead of Paulo.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. He's like he's in Cole Anthony's draft. So if Cole Anthony was that guy for us, then sure, that would be we would be on that timeline. But I think more of a move that just solidifies, like I said, a guy that can get Paolo and Franz in their spots, and you let the point forward part of them be the cool aspect of their game that you get sometimes, but you want to focus on getting these guys in their spots, letting Franz show off the fact that he's a 6'10", like just damaging cutter, letting Paolo bully guys in the low post, guys that are actually going to feed him on the mismatches. We're not, just missing, and also just being available. Like I said, that's mainly the important thing. I think Jonathan Isaac is the touchy one, though. I think I'm still
keep him at 17 million just because it's worth it. If his legs somehow miraculously get right and he can stay on the court for extended periods of time, because he's got all defensive talent, and so you're not willing to like give up that skill set. Whereas a Markelle Fultz, who I love and is tremendous, there are other guards, while not as damaging with the ball in their hands in terms of getting to the paint, they have better shot creation, better shooting, so therefore like that skill set balances a little bit. There's not that same replacement player of Jonathan Isaac. There aren't that many JI builds out there that can block Giannis twice.
I say that, and I agree with the Markelle Fultz, but it's really not even a skill thing. Like Markelle Fultz is probably top 3 most like skilled basketball players, like naturally skilled basketball players I have ever laid my eyes on. Him and Jonathan Isaac, respectively. On Jonathan Isaac as a defender, but like Markelle Fultz, you saw what he was in college. But even now, with all the hindrance with his shoulder, his knee, this and that, the dude's a freak athlete. Yeah. Like he is one of the smoothest basketball players I've ever seen. His mind, the way he just cuts around the basketball court, he knows what he's doing. It has nothing to do with the skill, but these other guys that you look at, you want to trade for, they're just available. That's what it is. So
no, Markelle's definitely making art out there, but it's tough when you're passing up open shots because I believe it's his thoracic outlet syndrome, the nerve issue that he's having that's flaring up. But that could go down too. Like, but again, if it's going to be up and down, do you want to risk having it flare up when you're making a playoff run? And then a guy that you depended on is no longer there. So if Skinny, your mindset is let me get some guys who can give me healthy minutes, then I might say, well, I think we can get that in the offseason. I don't know if we can get a big contributor guy in the offseason, but there are some others that are on this list that would be rotational guys. And here are the names. The sexiest one's going to be Buddy Hield. And that could be expensive too. He's making $23 million right now. He'll probably be making more than that as the salary cap is going up, because he's had a damn good year. He's a 40%, I think, three-point shooter. He's still 31. He's going to get a nice next lucrative contract. But another guy, Gary Trent Jr., it didn't seem like the Raptors were so hot on him. I think it was he opted into his player option. I think a lot of people thought that he was going to opt out and go test unrestricted free agency last year, but he did not. And so he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. That's a guy, he's making $17 million a year. Like, I think that you can probably get him again for something like that. He's 25. Tyus Jones is an unrestricted free agent. He's definitely going to want to get out of Dodge with the Washington Wizards. They're at the bottom of the league. But don't you think he's going to be having some suitors? One of the lowest turnover point guards in the league, making $14 million. Do you want to overpay for a situation like that? Malik Monk is an unrestricted free agent. Although Sacramento, again, all these teams I'm mentioning have their bird rights or their early bird rights, so they can give an additional year. The max money won't play into it, but they can give an additional year, which might move the needle with some of these guys. Grayson Allen, unrestricted free agent. Does he want to compete? He's 28, or does he want to get paid? He's only making $9 million this year. Is that an asshole that you would want on your team? Not me, not a dude that stomps on other man's nutsacks. No, thank you. You can keep Grayson Allen out here.
I absolutely hate that guy.
Yeah, he is. He's been a dirtbag ever since he was back at Duke. Other guys, Monte Morris, very stable point guard. He could give you minutes. So if you're just looking for, I say all that to say, if you're just looking for rotational guys, then the front office might just say, let's just play this out. It's fine. We're where we wanted and expected to be at the beginning of the season in the play-in hunt. We have the earliest, according to Tankathon, the easiest, schedule in the second, half of the year. So a lot of games against Charlotte and Detroit and San Antonio coming up. We could get some wins if we get healthy, because that's a big if, right? That's the biggest thing. We just want some bodies, and I don't know what's going to happen. I wrote a piece about some other guys, but I want to hear your thoughts though on some of those names. Would you want to just kind of wait, or would you want to make a trade to get them in the building early? Because hypothetically, all those guys would be, most of those guys, if their teams aren't heavily considering re-signing them, would be available for maybe some second-round picks, match the money, stuff like that. I just don't. I don't know, man. It seems like it's a real seller's market right now because of the play-in. There's so many teams that think they can compete. I'm just worried the price of some of these players at the trade deadline might be higher than we would want to fork over.
Okay, I can see that. I feel like some guys, they may kind of draw some of these like absurd asking prices. Like we've seen some names get dangled out there, and they're like, "Oh, we want 3 first-round picks for this guy."
Yeah.
I don't see like picking up a guy like Tyus. That would be nice, but he's also going to be a unrestricted free agent this offseason, right?
Correct.
And he's making $14 million. I think the point you made about getting these guys in early, that's something that kind of makes me think more towards the Magic would make them, if they're going to make that move and they feel like they need to, they do it at the deadline, because Mo's harped on when they came back from the offseason, just being able to pick right back up, speaking the same language. You know what I mean? Having those guys from last year. And then what they did outsource from was obviously the draft, and then Joe Ingles, shifting towards bringing in like more veteran guys. So guys that fit the timeline. I mean, I think Tyus fits like the bridge gap kind of timeline. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these moves that we're gonna make at this deadline, if we were to make them, are here past 3 years or so. You know what I mean? Once this team is truly, truly contending, they're up there in that 1 to 2 seed every year. Some of these guys won't even be here, but just the guys to make sure this team competes the way they should.
Yeah. So that's an interesting mindset. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you just really made me think. And I'm curious what you think, Second Cousins. Let us know in the comments. What is your point of view? What's kind of your vision here? Because you're saying some of these guys you want to bring in, it's maybe just a stopgap. It's a bridge player just to put some shooting, some health around Paolo to help him continue to reach his ceiling, and Franz as well. But not really thinking, I'm trying to make the move that I keep that player for long term. So that's an interesting, where are you, Magic fans? Are you thinking at this trade deadline you're trying to pick up someone who is growing and maturing with this team? Or are you trying to pick up someone who is a healthy body and a good bridge player for Paolo and Franz's development? So that's an interesting question, Skinny.
Yeah, like just, kind of, because if you get, okay, let's just specifically say, because right now we're having Jalen Suggs play point guard for us.
Yeah,
Jalen Suggs is running the one, and it's been tough on him.
Yeah.
But he has done everything else that you can ask for out of a combo guard in his, third year? He's shooting 40% from 3, playing some of the best guard defense in the league. Not only do you unlock what Paolo and Franz do offensively, but you continue to let him be that deadly catch and shoot shooter that Jalen Suggs has been all year. Jalen has been great from the corners, from the wings, above the break. It doesn't matter. As long as you get him settled, get him set, he's going to let it fly. He's looked great. Paolo and Franz, just a guy that can orchestrate that for them and just be available for them. The way Joe Ingles, obviously he got hurt, but you saw what Joe Ingles did for the bench, and the unlocking of Cole Anthony truly being that shooting guard, that guy that can score, Mo Wagner being one of the most efficient scoring bigs in the league. And it allows him to, take a load off offensively because these guys aren't necessarily trying to create their own shots. So now they're playing a little bit more defense. Obviously, Cole still gets picked on. He's a 6'1", 6'2" guard, but Mo's like what, top 5 and taking charges. So just genuinely having guys out there available for these guys to play with, it opens up other aspects of their game.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds more like you're looking for the bridge player right now. So I'm thinking, let's see though. Corey Kispert is coming in. Like, he's a shooter. I did a piece over on Orlando Magic Daily. Check it out, everyone, where I kind of ran down shooters because there have been some historically bad nights this year for shooting. I know we set our franchise record. Oh my God, 2 overtimes. I think that's bullshit, by the way. You should, if the game goes into multiple overtimes, you can't be able to score, like, you can't achieve scoring records. It's of course, yeah, you scored more points than you do in a regular game because it was a double overtime game. Yeah, duh. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Non sequitur. But yeah, so I did the article looking for shooting guys I came up with that weren't splashy but were just dudes. Hopefully, Luke Kennard's not healthy, but a shooter. Corey Kispert, Bojan Bogdanovic, who's a 9th-year player. He's older, definitely like a stopgap type of dude. Malcolm Brogdon's on this list, but this is what we're talking about with a seller's market because there are going to be tons of suitors for a guy like Malcolm Brogdon. He does everything that Joe Ingles does on the offensive floor. He is calm. He's going to get you into your offensive sets. He's going to put guys in the right position. That's ideal. You'd love to have a guy like that, but
he's going to plug up that injury report too.
He might.
Brogdon is a stickler on that injury report, man. So that's his only nick. Yeah. For a team like us, at least.
Yeah, that's fair. And so do you really want to go for guys like that? I love a guy that we saw in Atlanta the other night, Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Yes, I'm glad you brought up that name because I keep forgetting about him and what Atlanta's got going on, especially after that heartbreaker. We won't say too much, man. That was a tough one.
We can't beat them, man. There's teams that like them, the Nets, man. Like we just never seem to play well. Yeah, you do.
You have to gotta win that one. But no, Bogdan, he can shoot the lights out. He's a 90% free throw shooter right now, and we're a team that's missing 10 free throws a game.
Yeah,
like it's all the little things, man. I love a guy like that. Bring guy in. He's a guy, yeah, like you said. I think he's like 31.
Yeah, he did sign a 4-year deal. I think he's in the first year, so you'd have him up through 34. That's kind of like, the end of his career. But that's like the right time. That's the right timeline for you because that's when Paulo would be signing his max rookie extension. So you can move that money off your books, and it's not crazy. It's only $17 million with a club option in 26-27. So that seems to be a good thing. It's just the question is, how much do you give up for these guys? We have the leverage that the Orlando Magic have is the cap flexibility that I mentioned earlier. Only 8 players under required or guaranteed contracts, as I stated. 11 really, most likely, but it could be 8. And all of our picks moving forward, and Denver's 2025 pick. So I guess we're just hoping that Jokic gets fed up with basketball. He's just like, I want to go back to Serbia and chill with my horses and just like ride fucking horses and buggies around all the time. Like, just go back, Jokic. You've already done it. We'll goat you, man. We'll just call you. You can leave. It's fine. That's just what I'm praying for because I'll never pray for an injury, but I'll pray for him to just want to spend time with his horses and his family by 2025.
Yeah, I mean, Orlando, we've got a stockpile of assets, though. I think 80 degrees, no state taxes. That's number one.
That helps.
But they've got 8 first-round picks, 12 second-round picks. You look at a team like Toronto, they are literally, moved off OG, moved off Pascal.
Yeah.
Bring us the second-round picks. We'll take them. I think they've got one from New Orleans. Like I said, you don't need to make those huge moves now, but they're doing a good job of kind of giving themselves that flexibility. Like you said, the ability to cut the roster down to 8 and they could really go from there if they wanted to. But
Mhm.
uh,
The thing
I
is,
don't
like
know.
these first round picks, like it was big news that Pascal got 3 first round picks in that. There was 3 first round picks in that trade.
Yep.
So, but they're the Pacers' first round picks. I think at least 2 of them, and then another one is another good team.
And they're
So
gonna suck.
they're end of first round guys, and so at some point, and that's why there's so much hype. I think around this deadline, you got to push the chips in, and that move is vitally important because if you don't bet on the right guy and you give up a couple first round picks, let's say to get the crown jewel, the everyone's beau at the dance, help me here, Anthony Simons from Portland,
Yeah.
who are an interesting. They're definitely one of the few sellers right now in this market. Um, you know, is that a guy that you believe in enough where you want to say, hey, here's 3 first-round picks, ours, 2 of ours, 1 of the Nuggets. Here you
Take the
go. Let's make the money work, and then have Anthony Simons come home. Like that
absolutely.
move better work.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
You know, it's got to work. Because yeah, on the flip side, it doesn't make sense to try to. I don't think you're gonna find that guy who's gonna be the difference maker with the picks that we're getting right now, because they're gonna be like 20 to 30, and people hit there. Definitely, people hit there, but it's more unlikely. So that's why there's so much around this trade deadline. I'm curious if people let us know in the comments. Do you want the front office to push the chips in this year? Is this the year where you want to go get a guy that grows with this team, that is a part of this team? I can't think of anyone else besides Anthony Simons who could be quasi available and would be on this timeline. But
I feel
I
like
think that's
Mikal
the guy.
Bridges is the name. Mikal Bridges.
Oh,
I
yes,
think
yes,
he's
yes,
still
yes,
coming.
yes, yes,
But I'm
yes.
kind of weaning off of him. I mean, I think with the like you talked about the salary cap going to increase. I think
Yeah.
there's a. I mean, I don't think he's a super crazy contract. Once we get Franz and Paulo under contract,
He's so
uh,
good. He's so good. But is there too much skill duplicity with Franz,
yes,
and Paulo? Like
yes,
they do different things, but they play the same position. So how do you get them all on the floor at the same time? I think Mikal Bridges is good enough to guard the 2 and probably play the 2, and Franz has done that. So you probably could, and that is that is
yeah.
salacious.
With literally just a point guard out there like a today's society, Jameer Nelson.
Right. And I
Chef's
think
kiss.
that's really, if we're, as we were kind of winding down this conversation right now, let us know who you think this is in the comments. I think that's kind of what Magic fans are really after. Is at least what I'm after, is a guy to set it up, because with Markelle down and just his health so uncertain, who can we have that really sets the table? Anthony Black is touted to be a point guard, but he hasn't really shown the on-ball dribbling
And
skill required in the NBA to be able to do that yet. I don't know. Do you get Tyus Jones? I don't watch a lot of him play, but could he be that guy?
I think he could. I think
Yeah.
he could be the bridge gap guy. But with AB, I don't think AB. Let me ask you, do you think AB was supposed to play this season?
I thought at the beginning of the year, I was saying that I thought it crazy that he would even see the court with Markelle. But I mean, maybe the
And
front
I think,
office knew something
yeah.
about what Markelle was going through in the offseason. Maybe they had talked and stuff was flaring up early, because he didn't look right even in the beginning of the year when he started to play. There was something off. So maybe they knew something and they're just kind of trying to. But I did not think he was going to play, no.
Yeah, and I see that side of it, but I also see the side of them being like, Markelle had played, what he ratted off 52 straight games after he came back from his injury last season.
Yeah.
We had Jonathan Isaac available at home opening night, first game of the year. Like they were healthy. I feel like they kind of brought these guys in and they're like, well, Markel is healthy. We're good to go. Let's ride this out. The rookie will get to watch him, but he's going to be developing for most of the year. Like he was not even sniffing. He wasn't even in the like start when they do the starting lineups. The guys are giving high fives. He's like down at the end. But after the 5th game of the season, he's a starting point guard.
Right.
So I think for AB it was tough. I think a lot of this stuff it was kind of unpredictable. I wouldn't say unpredictable with our history of injuries, but I think they had a different outlook of it.
That's the problem. That's why I'm so frustrated. It wasn't unpredictable, Skinny. It was so predictable. It was just in our faces, and fans talked about concerns with it going into the year, and it seems a little bit, I don't want to say incompetent because this front office has done a hell of a job. It just seems a little delusional. And that's what makes me worried that, I guess not worried, they're the professionals for a reason, but that what I'm after and what the front office is after are completely different. Like, I would not be surprised if the front office isn't even thinking about this trade deadline. They're just like, no, we got it. Like, fuck it. We don't care. We're doing fine. We'll maybe address a couple small things. If someone wants to take a Chuma Okeke or a Gary Harris finally, okay. But I wouldn't be surprised, and that's what has me worried, Skinny.
They got to get their annual cash consideration. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. CC's coming back for sure. For sure.
I don't know, man. That'll be one for the Magic fans to really debate about. Y'all tell us, because that's going to blow me, man. Like I said, not getting – I think somebody phrased it the perfect way. They said not getting something that you're going to see on the court this year would be a shame.
February 8th, I believe, is the deadline. We just talked in a lot of different ways, brought up a lot of questions. Let us know what you're thinking and feeling in the comments about this trade deadline. I like all the questions. What is your vision versus what is the front office's vision for what we're looking for right now? What type of player would you want to bring in? Are you pushing chips in now or not? Are you doing the bridge move or the big splash? Let us know in the comments. Skinny, man, it's always great having you on. It's always great talking to you. Thank you so much for the insight, man. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate you, homie. Catch you next time.
Peace out, second cousins.